Hello all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. The persistent resistance of the Ukrainian people won them the opportunity to negotiate a peace with Russia. As President Zelensky was making an impassioned appeal to the UN Assembly, Russia renewed shelling of the city of Kharkiv. Zelensky doesn't hold out much hope for a peaceful end, but he promised the Ukrainian people that he will not give up trying. Although no ceasefire was agreed upon, Russia's planned blitzkrieg offensive did not work either, so the chances of the war continuing are up in the air. Putin attended the Winter Olympics in Beijing and signed a special joint statement with the CCP. The Communist Party thought it had finally found a powerful country as a long-term ally, but it didn't realize that it was all a trap set by President Putin. Okay, let's get into it. The first round of negotiations in Belarus between Russia and Ukraine have ended. The negotiations lasted 5 hours, but were inconclusive. The representatives from both sides took back to their leaders the demands stated for consultations in preparation for the next round. The next talks are expected to take place at the Polish-Belarusian border. President Zelensky's office said that the negotiations are focused on an immediate ceasefire and the withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukraine. Russian forces are trying to make progress in much of Ukraine ahead of the talks. Ukraine's major cities were attacked by Russian forces invading from the north, east, and south. Some cities have seen street battles, and major shelling has damaged buildings. Interfax news agency said on Monday that Russian forces captured 2 small cities in southeastern Ukraine and an area around a nuclear power plant. But Russian forces have so far failed to capture any major cities as they face stiff resistance. For now, Russia continues to pour more troops into Ukraine, while Ukraine is strengthening its army by mobilizing 100,000 new troops and using advanced new weapons supported by the West. As Zelensky made an impassioned appeal at the UN for help, Russia continued its shelling of the city of Kharkiv. Zelensky said that Ukraine is fighting for its survival. Is this onslaught conducive to negotiations? Give us your thoughts in the comments. In a surprising reversal of news that was circulating on the internet a few days ago, that all Ukrainian soldiers had been killed in a Russian attack on strategically important Snake Island. The Ukrainian Navy said on Monday, February 28th, that the 13 soldiers are alive and well. They were captured by Russian forces. In a Facebook post, the Ukrainian Navy said, "We are very happy to learn that our brothers are alive and well." According to the Navy statement, the island's soldiers repelled 2 Russian attacks, but were eventually forced to surrender due to the lack of ammunition. The Ukrainian Navy wrote in the posting that the heavy Russian offensive destroyed infrastructure on Snake Island, including the lighthouse, towers, and antennas, and seized a civilian vessel, disrupting communications with the island. According to an audio clip obtained by local news agency Ukrainskaya Pravda, the Russian soldiers shouted, "This is a Russian warship. I propose you lay down your weapons and surrender to avoid bloodshed and unnecessary victims. Otherwise, you'll be bombed." A male Ukrainian soldier is heard on the recording saying, "Russian warship, go expletive yourself." Then Russia allegedly launched missiles toward the island. At that time, Ukrainian President Zelensky confirmed overnight that Snake Island had been taken by Russia. He said, "On our Snake Island, defending it to the last, all the border guards died heroically, but they did not give up. All of them will be posthumously awarded the title of Hero of Ukraine." Russia had denied Ukraine's allegation that its armed forces had killed the 13 border guards. Russian official media also reported that Ukrainian soldiers were being held in Sevastopol, the main Crimean port. There appears to be a lot of misinformation circulating as the chaos continues. The close ties between the CCP and Russia have come under scrutiny amid a spat of sanctions issued by the West against Russia. Some U.S. officials have said that they believe that Russia's invasion of Ukraine also needs to give Beijing a taste of its own medicine. Moreover, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine is an opportunity to force the CCP to make choices. Earlier in February, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin signed a special joint statement at the Winter Olympics. It said that the relationship between the CCP and Russia transcends the military-political alliance of the Cold War era, and also stressed in particular that there is no end to friendship between the two countries and no forbidden zone of cooperation. Such comments seem to demonstrate that the two sides would support each other in the event of a third-party attack. With such a statement, the Chinese Communist Party is tantamount to endorsing Russia's aggression against Ukraine. But a source from the CCP said that the approach actually came from a misjudgment by authorities. Chinese sources familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal that prior to Putin's visit to China, CCP political advisors believed that a Sino-Russian partnership could benefit a U.S.-China confrontation and give the CCP additional leverage. The CCP downplayed the possibility that Russia might actually initiate a forceful conflict with Ukraine. The CCP had misjudged the situation. The CCP is already feeling the pressure of its relationship with Russia in light of the invasion. On February 27th, the White House called on the CCP to condemn Russia, with Press Secretary Jen Psaki saying, "This is not the time to be on the sidelines," and that the CCP should look at itself and really assess where it intends to stand. So far, it has refused to call Russia's actions an invasion. In recent days, the CCP has claimed to have launched its own cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS, which appears to be an alternative version to SWIFT. In response to the CCP's actions, U.S. intelligence officials told the Wall Street Journal that Western sanctions against Russia could also hit the CCP if its businesses and banks try to help Russia. Russia also seems to be trying to drag the CCP down with it. When Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova was asked on a TV program whether Russia has any friends in the world, she said that Russia has friends, especially the CCP. Such a diplomatic signal could lead to the CCP being tied to Russia and under greater international pressure. Before the Russian invasion, we discussed the CCP's dependence on Russia in more detail on our membership site. I want to show you the trailer. Tensions between Russia and Ukraine continue. The United States and European allies have pledged to impose economic and political sanctions on Russia if it invades Ukraine militarily, but at the same time, they're also concerned that any such sanctions could provoke retaliatory action from Russia. Why does it seem that no one can tame Vladimir Putin? What does he have up his sleeve? Putin's arrogance with Ukraine is fueled by a number of external factors: the United States' wariness of using troops abroad, Germany's energy dependence on Russia, and the CCP's reliance on Russia for international support. So what should the U.S. do? We'll explore this topic in depth on our membership site. Please join us at frontpageshow.com. Okay, let's get back into it. China expert Gordon Chang, in an interview with Fox, said that China is watching the U.S.'s poor response to the Russian-Ukrainian situation to gauge how it can best marginalize the United States. The CCP has announced a number of no-limits partnerships. China and Russia have a deal for $117 billion in new oil and gas arrangements for Russia, and Russia penned another lucrative deal with India. The CCP is funding Russia's expansionism because it's good for China. It makes sure that the United States is preoccupied in Europe. It is to both their advantage that Russia and the CCP remain friendly. Russia is helping the CCP to keep the U.S. distracted with its eyes on Ukraine and Europe. This allows the CCP to plan its strategy for the takeover of Taiwan. Chang said this does create an opportunity for Xi Jinping, who otherwise might have been deterred by the United States. Now he sees the United States not using its power, so therefore there is this opening that Xi Jinping is starting to perceive. There have been reports that Biden recently shared intelligence with the CCP, and the CCP quickly turned around and shared the information with Russia. Chang said, "I can't understand why the Biden administration thought that China would keep U.S. intelligence from Russia. They just announced their no limits partnership." For the time being, it suits the CCP to be closer to Russia than the United States, and it also shows that the Biden administration doesn't understand the CCP's foreign policy, and this may cost the U.S. dearly. Chang said that Moscow and the CCP have a solid, stable relationship, at least for the time being. They're closer than allies, he said. It's something that is directed against the United States. At this moment, China and Russia are working very closely together to destabilize the world and to move against the United States. And if Putin is looking for support for his actions, he need not look any further than the Chinese internet. Its users have called him Putin the Great, the best legacy of the former Soviet Union, and the greatest strategist of this century. As Russia is overwhelmingly condemned for invading Ukraine, the Chinese internet, for the most part, is pro-Russia, pro-war, and pro-Putin. But there's a group of Chinese who are bravely condemning the Russian invasion and who are directly contradicting their government's firm support of its Russian partner. Their opinion shows that some people in China oppose the CCP's tilt toward Russia. A man in Hangzhou held up a sign that read, "Stop War" in English, a local media reported. And a Chinese poet published a new poem on WeChat saying, "I pray a poem can stop a tank." And now the world will watch and wait as the first round of negotiations ended on Monday. As Russia invaded Ukraine, North Korea launched another ballistic missile on Sunday, February 27th, which was its 8th missile test this year. On the same day, the Chinese Communist Party also held military drills in the South China Sea. Many observers believe that the CCP regards Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a rehearsal of its invasion of Taiwan. That is why the CCP launched the training exercises. In response, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe appealed to the U.S. that it is time to abandon its strategic ambiguity and to make it clear that Taiwan should be defended against CCP aggression. Abe said, "The people of Taiwan share our universal values, so I think the U.S. should firmly abandon its strategic ambiguity about Taiwan." Regarding the current situation in Ukraine, Abe said, "Japan's position is clear. We cannot tolerate Russia's aggression and share the same position as the U.S. and the G7 and will assist Ukraine through various means." He said that during past summits, Putin had repeatedly expressed his mistrust of Russia-U.S. relations, and he felt helpless over NATO's non-compliance with an agreement when the two of them were alone. When Abe was prime minister, he met with Putin 27 times. And because of this background, the Japanese people hope that Abe can persuade Putin not to go to war. In response, Abe said he certainly wants to persuade Putin, but first he needs to understand Putin's aggressive intentions. I want to take a moment to thank you all for your support of Front Page. Your donation and your membership subscription help us to keep telling the truth, and every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and if you have already subscribed, please double check to make sure that you are still subscribed. We've heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore, so please follow us on Telegram, Gab, and Getter for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to share this video with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.